Hey everyone, Kevin Richards here from Rock the Stage NYC on YouTube and rpmvocalstudio.com on the web for voice lessons worldwide. This is a part 2 or kind of a follow-up to my video about why do a vocal warm-up. There's a link right there. Somebody commented about, CVT or the Complete Vocal Technique community, namely Catherine Sadaline, has said that the vocal warm-ups aren't really needed because your voice sits, your larynx sits within a nice warm throat and a warm body, and you're using your voice already, so it's warmed up and blah, blah, blah. I do not agree with that because, one, speaking uses a very limited range of notes. So just from speaking, you are not using a wide portion of what would be your singing range. So speech in itself does not make the voice pliable enough to sing beyond that speaking range. 2, just because the muscles are in a warm body, just like in my arm or in my leg, does not mean that they are pliable or flexible enough to sort of take on a high physical activity, which singing is. This type of logic would then apply to basically any athlete on the planet and say, you know what, before you do that, a 5-mile run, 10-mile run, 25-mile marathon, that 3-mile swim, that boxing or that martial arts tournament, don't warm up. Just come from your house or your hotel room, just go right into the pool, go right onto the track, just start running, and see what kind of reaction you get from those people. Just because it's a muscle and it's sitting inside your warm body does not mean it has been used in the manner it will be used in a high performance activity. Singing is a high performance activity for the vocal folds, for the musculature around the larynx. Speaking does not do enough. What happens when you warm up muscles is you're actually sending blood to the interior of the muscle. Now, a warm body is just keeping the exterior of the muscle warm. You're sending blood to the interior portion of the muscle, which then thins out the muscle and makes it more pliable and more flexible, able to stretch more. Just from walking around and picking things up does not stretch the legs enough, does not make you warm enough, does not make the muscles pliable enough to say to run a marathon, to run a 100-yard dash, things like that. You will not find any athlete that will ever say they don't warm up their body or stretch their muscles prior to a physical activity. So this should apply to singers as well. Singing is a physical activity. You are using musculature, ligament. You are stretching and flexing them. So they need to be stretched and made pliable to avoid injury. The same reason why after singing, you bring those muscles down from that hyper state of activity, because the muscles now are extremely hot from all the activity. You have to bring them down to avoid cramping. Just like you don't see somebody run, a marathon, and as soon as they go through, over the finish line, they just stop and just walk. No. They go over the finish line and they walk for a while, and then they'll stretch again to kind of bring the musculature back down to a more limited range of motion like they do when they're speaking, to avoid cramping and injury. So this whole idea that because Catherine Sadaline from CVT has said you don't need warm-ups because your larynx is inside a warm body and you're speaking all day, therefore you're good to go, is kind of very short-sighted in a way. If you're only singing, say, within like a very short range, like a very comfortable range, of your voice, then maybe you don't need a, if I'm only singing like between like the F below middle C and the E above it, I don't have to warm up for that. But once I sing past the F sharp, now I got to sing up to like B. There's no way in hell I can do a high A, a high B, a high C, a B flat like that without stretching my voice out first. There's no way I can do that cold. Even if I did all day. There's just no way I can do it. And forget trying to do like an E5 or an F5. I just can't do that cold. I have to stretch the voice out there. It won't work. I mean, I might be able to actually hit the note, but there's no way I'd be able to control it and have any sort of real flexibility to be able to do it over and over again. There's no way I could actually shape it, tone it, and all that kind of stuff. So the idea of this is you don't need a warm-up because it's inside your body and it's warm already and you're using it all throughout the day speaking is in a sense very short-sighted, myopic, and kind of very, it doesn't really fly. Try telling any athlete that and see what your reaction will be.